Okay, so Joe, great to have you back on the show. Lots to talk about, so we're going to jump right in. All right,
of course.
Let me start by asking you, what was your impression of last night's State of the Union address? And more importantly, how do you think that Uncle Joe did?
I thought Biden knocked it out of the park. I mean, and he was actually helped by all the MAGA folks, you know, in the House. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the whole thing, and all of them sitting on their hands. You know what? I mean, they didn't even like stand up for curing cancer. I mean, literally that happened. Literally, the president of the United States, Joe Biden, talked about curing cancer
and women's health.
And women's health, right? No, and no one did. They all sat on their hands, all of them. And the speaker, Mike Johnson. I mean, he's squirming the whole time, and and shaking his head to the boss, to Donald Trump. So he can at least say, I try to do something, but it was ridiculous. I think Biden turned the tables on them on so many things. And I'm sure we'll get into it, immigration, et cetera. But no, so I thought that was, look, I think obviously there were low expectations for Biden. They had hammered on him, and everybody, all of them, if he could even get through it. Which, I've been just like sitting here the whole time going, this is ridiculous. But hey, so they help set the bar low for him too. So he goes in there. That was Joe Biden. I mean, that the one thing, if you spend any time with him, that's who he really is. That's so maybe they'll let the reins are off, and they'll let Joe be Joe. But I thought that's who he was last night, and that's not who Donald Trump and these folks thought they were running against. I think they got a big wake up call last night.
Yeah, I think so too. But you're so right about MAGA Mike Johnson. Yeah. Every time he thought about whether to clap or if he should or should not stand up, the only thing that was going through his mind is, what would Donald Trump say?
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
It's very funny. It's like, I've heard this from a lot of friends of mine where they who are Christian. They would be like, what would Jesus do? In his MAGA Mike's mind, it's not what would Jesus do, because clearly Jesus would be, yes, you stand up and you clap for women's health. You clearly you stand up and you clap for eradicating cancer from the human race. Yes, these are good things, MAGA Mike. You fucking moron, right? Instead, he's thinking to himself, whoa. If I do, what will Donald say tomorrow when I call and I'm come crawling back to him and saying, did I do good, Donald? Did I do good? Can I get a little credit? Right. How about a little pat on the back? Let's not forget, I want to be Attorney General.
He was squirming like a little kid up there. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it was embarrassing to see. And again, the same thing. Okay, so I got him. He's got to do that, because of Trump, which is ridiculous. But then you get to the rest of the floor. No one. I mean, occasionally you saw one of the women clapping their hands and then immediately sit down. It was just really incredibly.
What I think? By the way, Joe, you know what I think was the best? It was the best breakaway when they were talking about the border bill, and they shot it to what's his name?
Langford.
Langford, right? And he was like, "Yep, it's true.
Yep,
it's true." Let me tell you something. That is an ad that needs to be cut right now.
This is most conservative, one of the most conservative members in the Senate, worked his heart out on that bill, tried to put it together. It is the most conservative, toughest bill, in decades. We haven't had anything even try to be put on the floor really for 30 years. And he's done it, and he's got the votes. And then Donald picks up the phone and calls MAGA Mike Johnson, and oops. And that's what I mean. So even those senators who know who Langford is, know what this bill really does, wouldn't clap, wouldn't agree with him. It's the truth. None of that. No, they just left him sit there by himself. But I think that you're right. That's a moment in the ad, because having that guy say that that it's true, that what Biden is doing is right, and
you
that,
see what?
it's all,
What the Republicans are showing right now to the American people is that we're really not a two-party system. What we are is a government divided, where it's the only way I can win is if you lose, and the only way that you win is if I lose mentality. When you have Senator Langford, as you said, one of the most conservative Republicans out there, puts forth this incredible border bill that Biden turns around and said, even to Trump, don't fight me on it. Join me on it. It is an issue that is dealing and is hurting America. If you care about America, join me. Don't fight me so we can get this thing passed. And then he's like, let's pass it now. That would have been a great moment if he would have gotten people to stand up and say, fine, we're voting on it. And I would have stopped the State of the Union, and I would have had what do you call it? I would have had them raise their hand. We'll do a yays and a nays on the passage of that. But I want to then jump for a quick second because, of course, after what I found to be an incredibly prepared speech that Joe delivered really, really well. I was watching, CNN, and one of the pundits comes on and he makes this stupid ass statement about, how some of Joe's words were a little, unintelligible. It was hard to make out what he was saying. Then there was the error in terms of Lakin. He called her Lincoln. I'm not so sure that that's true.
Well, they're gonna make it true. They'll be out there. It was Lincoln. He missaid it. Who cares? It's like crazy stuff.
Exactly. That who cares? And the worst part is who doesn't sometimes say a word that is unintelligible. We saw Donald Trump the other day during a rally when he turned and goes, and Saudi Arabia and Russia. Ooh. I'm like, what the fuck was that? What was that?
He still thinks he's running against Obama anyway. I mean, it's like, he does that all the time. Look, the one thing is, like, I have done a lot of presidential campaigns, and I was in when Biden ran in 87, 88. He's always had the speech impediment thing. From when he was a kid growing up, he always had a speech problem.
He's a stutterer.
Yeah, and he's overcome it. But what I'm saying is, like, he's mangled sentences the entire time. I've over that, how many years is that? 40 years. I've seen him mangle sentences every. And so, okay, it's got nothing to do with age or anything. That is how, that is, and he's done an amazing, look at where he's gotten to, with having that stuttering problem and overcoming it. So I just don't think in the end, any of that crap's going to matter or register with anybody. Again, the age thing went out the window. I'm sure they'll keep trying to resurrect it, but you got Trump. I'm with you, man. Trump is like ridiculous compared.
What was great too?
He couldn't have stayed on those things. Yeah.
What was great too last night when he drew the contrast when he was 29 and he became the youngest senator at there, and they told him that you can't take the elevator, and suddenly he goes, "I'm too young, I'm too old." That is his personality. He is.
That's what you saw.
You saw the funnier side. Of him. Not like Donald's funny side, which is basically denigrating somebody, thinking that that's funny and so on. But talk about funny. Again, after watching, Biden, what I thought was it was definitely an A game yesterday. They then cut to Senator Katie
God.
Britt. Yeah,
Yeah.
the freshman senator and so on who gave the GOP response. Now, I've said, and I tweeted out while I was watching this thing, that she acted like a overly religious, dramatic high school kid performing at the school play.
Yeah.
I then turned around and said, it was almost like she's a bad soap opera star. At one point, she looked like she was trying to make herself cry. You know, and I'll tell you something. Nobody has really brought this up, but if you look at the visual of where she was in her house, where was she?
The kitchen, yeah.
She was in the kitchen. Why? Because women belong in the kitchen? Isn't that what so many of these GOP Mongols keep saying? Like they had this one guy on television the other day saying why he would only vote for Trump because women, and he was talking about the whole Roe v. Wade, the IVF, women have 3 functions. That's cooking, cleaning, and making babies.
You know,
I'm saying to myself, I really wish I could meet this guy's wife. I'd like to sit down and buy his wife a burger and have a conversation with how that marriage is, or if he has a daughter, I'd love to speak to her. But tell me, what did you think of Senator Britt's response?
Oh gosh, it was. I mean, I'm with you. It was like she was trying to audition for a school play. I mean, she was trying that. It was like. This is your audition tape to let's show us you can act. It wasn't like, it was literally show us you can act. And it was, oh man, so overdone. And then, you look at that thing and I agree with you, Michael. I mean, to put her in the kitchen, they got all these like the guy in North Carolina, Robertson, who's on tape saying that he wants to go back to a country where when women couldn't vote. I mean, this literally their statewide candidate out there who's talking like this. I mean, like along the lines that you were just talking about. And I think totally missed the mark. I mean, I think the entire MAGA party last night was caught, missing the mark at all. I mean, whether it's MAGA Mike Johnson, the way he reacted, the way there was no reaction on like all the stuff we've talked about, eradicating cancer, and then you put her up there, and it's so over-scripted, overproduced, overacted. I can't believe, and even the Republicans today are like, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's no tape of her. Michael, do you know this? There's no tape of her. No. What they're doing is they're putting out a still picture of her with like the 3 sentences. And then about an hour later, they put out another picture of her with 3 sentences from her talk, not having her deliver it at all because they think it's like ridiculous. I mean, that's how bad it was. They're not using any of it.
Right, but then you have people like me who are putting this out, which I think that you'll appreciate. Live from New York, it's Saturday night.
That's great.
I mean, how great is that? Yeah, you don't want to put it out? I'll put it out for you.
Yeah, that's great, right? Man.
I mean,
but they are hiding that tape, man. I'm telling you. So we got to keep pumping it.
And they should, because she's a fucking embarrassment. So look, let me then, on that note, shift it a little bit here. Because the Biden-Trump rematch that we've been expecting all along, right? Biden-Trump 2, it's here. Mm-hmm. But some people, they're saying that the numbers from the primaries show an underlying weakness in Trump's numbers. What does it mean for the race overall? The results that we've seen so far from not just Super Tuesday, but all the primaries that have taken place to date.
I think the primaries exposed Trump as being far weaker than anybody, than most of the punditry believes. And I think it was Ron Brownstein who said that Nikki Haley left a trail of breadcrumbs for Joe Biden to follow to victory because of all the voters and the targets out there. Here's my take on it. Like Super Tuesday, everybody was like, "Wow, gosh, look at all these uncommitted protest votes against Biden." I mean, come on, it was like 12%, 10%, 3%. And by the way, all those protests votes were people that have voted for Biden. And yeah, they're not happy with him right now because of Gaza or whatever, but they then have to go. They're not anybody Trump can get. He can't get those voters. I mean, he's not going to be able to go Dearborn and say, "Hey, I'm going to ban. I'm going to have a Muslim ban, and I'm going to do mass deportations. But you guys, all you Arabs, should vote for me." And he's not going to do that. He can't do it. He has
the same problem with the black community too.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So any of that vote, young people who are worried about climate change and think, whatever.
And women's productive rights and IVF and so on.
Right. Yeah. So none of those are gettable from him. I mean, can Biden win them back? Can he energize them to get them out? I think last night was a big first step towards that. But yeah, he can. Trump can't get those people. So then you go look the other way, and he's hemorrhaging. He's still the suburbs. He's losing the suburbs. He's losing urban Republicans, suburban women. Trump is. I mean, a lot of the same kinds of people he lost, but losing them bigger. I mean, Nikki pulled more of them over. Now, some of those people won't vote. But many of them, they all said, gosh, and exit after exit, they said that many of them, a big chunk of them, said they were going to vote for Trump in the general election, that they either wouldn't vote or vote for Biden. So, so when you look at the results, Biden, Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, they all went out, he drew some ridiculous candidates, but there wasn't a whole big groundswell to get him, to stop him. You look on the other side. I mean, look, Trump was losing 25, 30, upwards of 40%, lost Vermont, got pretty close to losing Utah. I mean, Utah, is a pretty conservative place for her to be getting 46% of the vote there. Now, those voters, even if they all went to Biden, not sure in Utah that Trump can lose the place, but you get to North Carolina. I tell you, the one interesting.
I think he could lose Utah. I think you get somebody like Mitt Romney, or you grab a whole slew of the powerful and influential Mormons that are speaking there. I think he could easily lose Utah. But can I just jump on something that you just said, talking about these numbers and stuff? Because I'm with you 100%. I've been saying it. I've been trying to yell it from the rooftops. I don't believe the polls that are coming out. I think the polls are bullshit. I don't care whose poll that it is. I think they're all bullshit. I think they're designed to keep you glued to the television so that they could make their advertising money, right? And so they're making the poll where it's neck and neck. It's neck and neck. We're going to lose our democracy. Joe Biden's old. Trump is this. This is that. They're trying to keep you glued to your TV.
Yeah.
I started just playing with numbers in my head. And while these numbers are not accurate, if they're approximations, in order to make this analysis really easy to understand, let's break the country down into three groups. 1/3 of the country Republican, 1/3 of the country Democrat, and 1/3 of the country undeclared/independents, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your comment is spot on. If you take a look to see the percentage that Donald Trump won in the primaries of Republicans that came out to vote, that's the same people that will come to vote in the general election, 30+% said they will not vote for Donald Trump. They voted for somebody else, which means let's give him 70% of the voting Republican constituents, right? Okay. He's not going to get a single Democrat. So that goes straight. Joe Biden got 92+% of all the Democrats that voted in the primaries. And more Democrats, by the way, voted in the primaries than Republicans. But 92% voted for Joe Biden. Now we have to talk about the undeclareds or the independents.
Yep.
One would say, well, if Trump gets 51% of them, well, then that's the election. No, that's not true. He has to make up the loss of the 30% of the Republican base, which means he'd have to get more like 70% of the undeclareds or independents, which are predominantly who? Gen Zers. And Gen Zers from every major Gen Zer that I know, they fucking hate him for his stance on LGBTQ+, his stance on climate change, his stance on IVF, on his taking credit for the overturning of stare decisis of Roe versus Wade. They fucking hate him.
Yes.
Statistically, and you know what? He can't win.
Well, not just that, but we also have the factual data that in the states like New Hampshire, where it's open primary and independents can vote, can cast votes in the primary, he got creamed by her. I mean, those were all. I mean, every time there was an open primary where independents could vote, they voted. They did not. They moved. They said no, we're rejecting you. And that's what. So I'm agreeing with you. He's losing key elements of the Republican coalition. Biden came out of these primaries solidifying 90-something% in every one of them on average. And then the few places where we could look, where independents were voting in these things, they either voted for Biden on the Democratic side, or they went in and voted for Haley, not Trump. He got demolished by her with those voters. So you do your third. He's already shown, that he's losing with Republicans, and then you see tremendous weakness with independents.
Have you ever wished that you had a whiter and a brighter smile? Well, before you visit a dentist, you should know that their whitening treatments can be very expensive. And it's not just the price. You also have to book the appointment and schedule time away from work or family to sit in a dentist's office chair while undergoing the procedure. I mean, let's be honest, it's a hassle. Fortunately, now you can try Smile Actives at home or anywhere, anytime. Smile Actives offers a safe and an affordable alternative to those expensive whitening processes. Like most people, I'm a big coffee drinker. I drink a ton of coffee. And over time, I've noticed that my teeth have lost some of their brightness that I was originally used to seeing. 97% of Smile Active users in a clinical trial reported up to 6 shades whiter on average, all within 30 days. I'm using it. Look. I mean, simply add Smile Active Pro Whitening Gel to your regular toothpaste. It's been formulated with PolyClean technology to boost stain removal and deliver active whitening ingredients into your teeth's grooves and crannies so that you get better whitening. Smile Actives makes a teeth whitening gel that can simply be added to your toothpaste every time that you brush your teeth. So no change in your routine, no extra time, and no more messy strips, trays, or lights. People will start commenting on your brighter smile in just days. Smile Actives is the whitening boost your favorite toothpaste needs to give you the smile that you deserve. So I want you all right now to visit smileactives.com/Cohen today to receive a special buy one, get one free offer with auto delivery plus free shipping and handling. That's smileactives.com/Cohen. Terms and conditions apply. So see the site for details.
For the reasons you cited. And so, I'm with you. I think, look, I would look at this election this way. There's 45 points of the electorate that are not available to Biden. They are going to vote for Trump no matter what. He's got 46% in 2016, 46.7 in 2020. He's going to get that 45 to 46%. I actually think it may have dropped lower. That ceiling may be lower, but that 45, 46% is not available to Biden. Here's the problem Trump has. The 55% The other 55% is not available to Donald Trump. That is Biden's pool of vote, available to Biden and yes, third parties. This is where I think this is going. And so, 55% of the country is not going to vote for Trump. Not going to happen. Even in 2020, Biden got 51, and then you add the other third party people, 3-4 points, and it's 50. That's how you get that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that 55 is available. Any of it is available to Trump. In fact, I think everything he does every day, telling the people who voted for Nikki Haley, "You're rhinos. I don't need your votes." All that stuff. He's pushing that. So that 55 is what is open to Biden. He got to 51 once in 2020, and I think the real issue is how strong are people like Robert Kennedy Jr. In other words, that 55 can't get split up too much. Otherwise, you're in a 45-45 race, right? And right. So, the others are getting 3-4 points. But I think that as this becomes more of a binary choice, like you're talking about, Trump versus Biden, I think the third party elements are going to diminish, which did also happen in 2020. So I just think the pool that's available to Biden, particularly as the threat to democracy becomes, more apparent as we get towards November, it just means that Trump's in huge trouble. I mean, he really is. We got a lot of work to do, but it's going to be. He's not getting over 45, and Biden will. And like I said, the biggest danger is third parties, but we're going to have to all take care of that too.
Yeah, and I think at some point in time, I really believe that Nikki Haley's supporters, also known as Never Trumpers, will absolutely naturally migrate to President Biden. Mm-hmm. And I think that the more that you start to see the advertisements coming out, so far the only one that's been putting out ads is Trump. And as more of the legal issues continue to hold him accountable, like the March 25th Alvin Bragg case, and who knows what will ultimately happen with the Judge Chutkan case, with the Mar-a-Lago documents case, I believe more and more people will turn around and they will just say, okay, listen, enough is enough. And I agree with you. Biden will have to work for those votes. But working for those votes means you're going to put out the proper ads. Right now, again, Biden is working America. He's trying to get he's doing his job as the presidency. It is inarguable. Joe, it's inarguable when you turn around, because the numbers don't lie. People do. Trump runs out. He goes, he's the greatest job creator in the history of this country, at least the last 100 plus years. That is a lie. And when the numbers start coming out, not only is he not the greatest job creator, during his administration, we lost 2.876 million jobs in America. Joe Biden created 13,905,000 jobs. We could talk about manufacturing jobs the same. Trump lost 154,000 manufacturing jobs. Biden, 815,000 created. And unemployment, all-time low under Trump, 6.3%. Where are we at? 3.8% now? Economic growth, we're +2. We're +2.1. Trump, -3.4. These are actual facts. These are numbers that you could look up that have been created by government in order to demonstrate the difference, the distinction in terms of where we were 4 years ago versus where we are today.
No, we are number one in the world today. Germany's in recession. Japan's in recession. UK, a lot of Europe's on the verge of it. China is an economic basket case mess, on the verge of collapse even. And one country has created jobs, created higher wages, record low unemployment. And it was all because, by the way, and most of it was with Republicans voting no, every step of the way, just like they're doing now on immigration reform. No, if Biden pulled all this off, or Democrats and Biden, with some bipartisan help on that bill or this bill, but as a party, they obstructed they voted against every single one of the things that Biden, the CHIPS Act, all of it, bringing the supply chain for chips back into the country. I mean, all this stuff is creating jobs. And by the way, there are jobs in Ohio and Arizona. I mean, this wasn't like trying to pack it into blue states or anything. This is a pretty impressive job he's done. And I just think you're right. That's going to become more and more apparent, and the facts will be the facts. You can't be the only president, I think, since Coolidge or Hoover to lose jobs. And say you were magnificent job creator. It's bullshit.
Most of the stuff that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they say that Trump needs a female running mate because of his terrible, well, actually, it's worse than terrible. It's his pathetic track record with women in general. Who are you expecting that he's going to look at? Who do you think he's going to choose?
I don't think it's going to be Katie Britt. I think I think if that was an audition, I don't think he's gonna go there.
Yeah, you're out, Katie.
I don't know. I think, geez, that's a tough one, man. Stefanik, you think?
Nancy Mace?
Yeah, Nancy Mace, sure. It's got to be.
Stefanik she's in the running, but I don't think she'll pull it off as much as she did that one good job. When they were talking to the university professors of MIT, Harvard, and University of Pennsylvania. She's definitively a staunch Trump supporter, but I don't think
she's going for it. She wants it, that. So I don't know.
Yes, she does, but Trump is a visual guy. I mean, and I think that he's looking for somebody with almost like a sex appeal, because standing next to him, in his opinion, makes him look more masculine, makes him look more energetic, makes him look younger. And I don't think Stefanik brings that to the table.
So who do you think, Noam or Carrie Lake?
Carrie Lake, maybe Nancy Mace. Somebody like that. I tell you one person who it's not going to be. That'd be Marjorie Toilet Green. I don't know if you saw this. There was another really good one. There's an exhibition over at the Museum of Natural History, and it shows this one woman that was a cave woman, and what it was like. I don't know if you've ever been there over to the Museum of Natural. It is a clone of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, you actually can't make it up. It's really that funny.
Did you take a picture?
Of course I did. And I will find it while I'm continuing to talk to you. But it most certainly is one of the funniest things that I made. Here, this is it.
Oh my gosh!
Is that not crazy? Yes, is that the funniest thing you've ever seen? Because it's true. So you could bet your bottom dollar. Number one, she's uncontrollable, she's unhinged, and she's an absolute maniac. And Trump doesn't need that, because there can only be one maniac in the House.
But the other thing I think is how he's going to be able to tolerate whoever he picks for how long, right? I mean, like the first time she makes a mistake, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
I don't know. It's hard to figure out because there just aren't a whole lot of really smart picks or anything. I'm with you. He probably goes with the, something makes him look masculine and strong, and somebody just almost, is the beaming wife next to him, since Melania won't be there probably. But
yeah, that's certainly for sure. Now, you brought this up about RFK and so on, and I know that you're constantly keeping track of this mysterious third party, the No Labels campaign. Yeah. Now, apparently, they're having a convention. Can you explain? Yeah. Can you explain to me what the no labels delegate is and why they should sign a no spoilers pledge? Explain that to my listeners.
Well, okay. First of all, No Labels has never disclosed its donors, so it's dark money funded. And the few that have been outed or by investigative reporters or people like Harlan Crow, who get
Yep. The infamous donor over to Justice Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas, took him on, paid for all those trips and vacations and stuff. So that's sort of suspect. Then they announced earlier this. Well, first of all, they were going to have a big public convention like the other, like Democrats and Republicans do, but they changed that and said they were going to vote for their nominees online. And then they realized, well, wait a minute, if we try to do it online, then like people like Trippi and Cohen, they'll be telling people to vote.
I would just fix the poll like I did for Trump with CNBC years ago. Yeah, we'll just create an algorithm in order to blow this poll apart.
Right. So anyway, long story short, they announced that they were going to have 800 delegates show up on for I guess a webinar today to decide whether they're going to continue to move forward or not. I think ABC is reporting that before the event that they're going to go forward. So it's all kind of cooked. No one knows who these delegates are. I mean, the same thing. It's like dark money and dark delegates in terms of knowledge and transparency. So Dick Gephardt and a bunch of bipartisan. I mean, both Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Stuart Stevens, our friend from senior advisor to the Lincoln Project, formed a group called Citizens to Save Our Republic. And what they started out saying, hey, no labels, don't do this. This is crazy. You're going to just help elect Trump. And I'm not
so sure about that one. So we're going to come back to that, but keep going.
Right. So then they just said, what we did was we put a no spoiler pledge out and are urging those delegates that are there today to vote to make No Labels do the no spoiler pledge. The no spoiler pledge just says, look, by July 1st, excuse me, if you're not on enough ballots to get 270 electoral votes, they're only on in 14, 15 states right now. Then keep running if you want, but take your names off your ticket off the 6 or 7 battleground states. That's the pledge. We pledge by July 1st. If we can't win, if we can't statistically even get there with being on enough state ballots, we didn't say get out of the race. We just said don't go on in Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, where you could be nothing but a spoiler. Whether you think there'll be a spoiler for Biden or a spoiler for Trump, that's the no spoiler pledge. We're just saying don't let it be a binary up and down vote. And so that's the pledge. We've tried everything to just hey, how do we get this in front of the delegates? So today on Morning Joe, Dick Gephardt was on the air because that was like the best public way we could at least explain what we're trying to do here to anybody who might be watching, since there's no list of delegates. There's no, for all we know, there's 8 people sitting on a Zoom right now.
Right.
And they're going to come out and say, oh yeah, all 800 of us said this. So anyway, we'll see. But it's actually a very, there's no transparency at all with what No Labels is doing. And the only things that they were going to get Larry Hogan. He said no. Manchin. He said no. But all for the same reason. It's clearly no chance in hell of being able to elect the next president of the United States. So it's a suicide mission, but it's a suicide mission like Ralph Nader or Jill Stein in 2016. That's how Trump got in the first time in 2016 was a third party.
Yeah. See, I don't think that the no labels hurts Biden as much as people think that. I think it hurts Trump more. And let me go back to the very first thing that we talked about, which is something you brought up. At least 30% of the Republican Party, 30% do not want Trump whatsoever. They're looking for an alternative. So maybe those folks don't end up migrating to the Biden. They end up migrating to the no labels. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, they are looking. There are no, for the most part, there's a very de minimis number of Democrats that are looking to find an alternative to Joe Biden. Yes, they acknowledge that he's old. I grant you that too. But they're not looking for an alternative. The GOP is looking for an alternative to Donald Trump. And that's why I believe that no labels would actually hurt Trump more than it'll hurt Biden.
It actually, because we've done a lot of research on this, and we thought that too. But what happens is when confronted with that what they've decided is they don't want to vote for Trump. They've decided, I'm not voting for that guy. Mm-hmm. And so if Biden's the only alternative, those are the votes. I mean, you're right. So many of them will just stay home. I understand, but the number of them that say, okay, that's my alternative. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm actually going to vote for a Democrat for the first time in my life. And they spit the word Democrat out like it's poison, like the word is poison, but they go to Biden. That turns out, again, remember that 45-55 that I said, the 55 that's available to Biden. They're in that pool that's available to him. And it helps him get over that 45, 46, 47. Like that's that's who actually got him to 51 last time in 2020. So it's not clear. In other words, I'm not arguing with you. It's an unknowable thing, but at least in what we've done, I wouldn't take the chance. I mean, if I could wave, I'd rather have Trump, Biden, one-on-one binary decision. And so that's the whole theory behind our pledge, right? You're going to make noise. You want to go out and be, and talk about, if the Green Party, whatever, that's fine. Just don't be one of the people that takes the wrong 3 points away, from we think at least all the stuff we've done. And we are data driven in terms of, because it wasn't like we woke up and said, oh man, we got to stop no labels. It was like, hey, maybe it helps Biden. Let's see. Right. Right. So look, by the way, if it was, trust me, Mike, I'd be out there going like,
sure.
I'd be on the other side.
Come on. Yeah. Welcome on board. But let me ask you this. Do you think no labels planning on running Robert Kennedy? I mean, that's obviously somebody that, I've read it at least in the paper. Or who else do you think that they would put on the ticket? I know that that Robert, that RFK Jr. I mean, he has a base. Who they are, why they are, but he does have a base. You think that they would run him?
I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that like the Joe Liebermans. I mean, the people that are who. But I think most of them think Robert Kennedy's out of his mind.
His whole family does.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. I don't think he'll end up there. I mean, he's been trying to get the Libertarian line, be getting the Libertarian Party's nomination. That hasn't been going very well because he's got so many environmental regulations and things like that, and he's for that. The Libertarians don't like that, his sort of regulatory answer on all the environment from their perspective. I mean, so I can't see where he ends up landing. So far, he's on 3 ballots on his own, I think. Arizona, Nevada, and I think Georgia. I think all 3 of them are troublesome. I mean, where they could be, create a problem for somebody, whether you think it's Trump or Biden. But he is having the most trouble getting on ballots, which is why he's looking for a party. But where he is getting on, could be even if he's only on, and that's the whole point. You're only on in 3 states. What the hell are you doing? You aren't trying to be president if you're only on in 3 states on July 1st. You're you can be a spoiler. That's all you can be. And we already seen Ralph Nader, Pat Buchanan, with Bush. Now Dean Phillips didn't turn into that kind of a problem for Biden, but and it's just unclear. Again, until we get a little deeper in, we're going to keep doing our research, and I'll keep telling you, what we're finding. We'll share it, so but right now, no, we'd rather just have it be a binary, up or down, Trump or Biden, make your choice. Some people will stay home, but.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of apathy, especially from the GOP side. But Joe, let me move on and ask you this. What, in your opinion, is Putin's role in today's Republican Party? Right? You got MAGA Mike Johnson literally seems to be taking orders directly from the Kremlin. Now, I know that that's probably not accurate, but that's what it seems like. And I bet Russia is already working hard to interfere in our elections. How did they are. Tell me something. How did the Republican Party, the GOP, become the party of Putin?
That is one of the great mysteries of our, of the last 2-3 elections. I mean, it's just how did the party, as Biden pointed out last night, Ronald Reagan bellowing out, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. George Herbert Walker Bush presiding over the fall of the wall and the in the reunification of East and West Germany. This is all a anti-Soviet, anti-communist, anti-Russia. Seeing them as the root of all evil, and then Putin invades Ukraine. And we're switching sides. I mean, it's like, actually, I think it all started with Manafort at the convention in 2016 when that weird plank got put in. I think sort of an anti-Ukraine plank got put into the Republican Party because he was working for Poroshenko. So I just think somewhere in there, something happened, and I've got no idea. We'll start sounding like conspiracy theorists, as crazy as them, as they can be. But there's something there, and it's unexplainable to me. But maybe you got a better explanation, or
I really don't. That's why I asked you the question.
No, I don't.
I have no idea what. I mean, first of all, I think MAGA Mike Johnson is a very dangerous person. I think he also knows that his role. I heard Anthony Scaramucci say it the other day on Meidas Network with Ben Meiselas, where he turned around and he said, MAGA Mike knows that his time as speaker is limited. The question becomes, how many Scaramucci's will it be, right? Before he gets shit canned.
That's great.
He is hands down a white Christian nationalist to the nth degree, and he's playing right into Donald's camp, because for him it's all about his future, right? He realizes that his time in Congress is limited. And so here, maybe he'll be attorney general. Maybe they'll try to put him on the Supreme Court. Who the fuck knows? When it comes to these lunatics, for them, like I said, it's all about money and power. Can I ask you this question? Because President Biden spoke about this last night. How big an issue is the war in Gaza going to be for Biden? His poll numbers are down with young people over this issue. I personally don't understand why. Now, I get that this is an issue, and don't get me wrong, this is definitively an issue. But since when are we as American people a single issue voter. All right. One thing for certain is if you're talking about climate, something that Gen Zers, young people, are concerned about. Listen, we got to live somewhere, and the only place we can live is on Earth. So Biden is the only one talking about doing something regarding climate change. We talked about jobs. I already said it. Minus 2,876,000 for Trump, plus 13,905,000 for Biden. Manufacturing, unemployment, economic growth, corporate profit is up 22.6% under Biden, where it was up only 8.5% under Trump. By all economic measures, the Biden administration is doing substantially better. They're talking about the CHIPS Act. They're talking about debt-free student education and all that. Do you think that this issue with Gaza is something that can be fixed, and how would you do it?
Oh, well, first of all, I agree with you. And like I said, you didn't throw in Dobbs and IVF or
no, not yet.
No. But I just meant no, I meant that on top. Those are other issues that young people are other issues that they're worried about, and that Biden is much stronger on for them than MAGA Mike Johnson and who's a threat and Trump. As much as Trump tries to, I guess he's trying to become pro-choice now or something. Anyway, but my point would be, there's a big difference between casting a protest vote in a primary where there's no threat that Joe Biden's not going to win and be the nominee, and be facing Trump. That's a totally different thing. Which I think is what you're getting at. When it's okay, now it is okay. I protested, and I'm pissed at him about whatever the issue. I mean, pick whatever your issue is. I'm really angry with him about it. And now you're a Muslim, and it's the choice, and you're upset with him about Gaza. But this guy wants to ban all of you and deport you. You're a woman, and he wants to, and you've got, six. They're going to be go for a national. If he's president, MAGA Mike will be doing a national ban. I just think that once is it something that needs to be addressed, needs to be. I think first of all, Biden took a big step. And the biggest step is just acknowledging, I hear you. I know what you're protesting. I got you. I understand. I'm working on it. The other thing though is, there's no way there isn't a ceasefire between now and November. I mean, in other words, at some point there's going to be one, and I'm pretty sure when that ceasefire comes, it's going to be clear that the way it got formed and put together was Joe Biden and the American State Department working both sides, of it to get to whatever the agreement was. It'll be an agreement that Joe Biden forged. Netanyahu's not going to do that. It'll have to be, it will be us, America, putting enough pressure on both sides with other allies and even quasi allies to make it happen. At that point, he will have all the other things we just talked about working for him: the jobs, the economy, being out there protecting women's right to abortion and reproductive freedom, all that. But I think the two things that everybody talks about the most that they claim are hurting him: Gaza and the economy. Which, inflation, right? Whatever the other side. Both, yes, those have been weights on his shoulders. Part of that is because with the economy, it's well known, particularly if you've been in enough presidential campaigns that I have, there is a huge lag between when the economy actually turns and when people actually start to voice it in polls. We're starting to see that in consumer confidence, consumer sentiment. So, I said like 3 months ago, look, the numbers are turning, and it will start showing up in polls in 3 to 6 months. Well,
Yeah.
So the way
I just want to
the
say
weight
something.
of the
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, so the weight of the economy in Gaza, they're going to get lighter. I'm not saying solved. Gaza's not going to be, but I think it's going to get lighter. That weight on, and the economy is going to get way lighter and may even become a tailwind. So Trump can't. There's nothing on Trump's side of the equation that gets lighter. The trials are going to get heavier. The stupid things that they say and do are going to get. They can't stop themselves.
Yeah.
It's going to get
Joe,
heavier.
what I was going to say to you is, I have a lot of friends who are Muslim, and I was having a conversation with one of them just a couple of days ago, and they were expressing their dislike for Joe Biden. And I said, well, let me ask you this question. What's the alternative? And they said, well, clearly Trump is the alternative. I said, do you realize that the first thing that Trump did when he got into office wasn't what we had talked about for almost a year and a half, which was to do an infrastructure bill? It was an immigration bill that was disguised in order for it not to be what he really wanted it to be, and that is a Muslim ban. Right. So, yeah, that's great. So you're angry at Biden because of what's going on in Gaza. And by the way, while I obviously want to see a ceasefire, I also am pro-Israel, being Jewish, having 200 family members there, and pissed off at what Hamas did. Hamas is not Palestine, and Palestinians are not Hamas, and my heart does go out to all the innocent civilians. But I tried to explain to them, do you understand that he tried to ban Islam from this country in 2016, in 2017, when he took office? I said, do you realize that? So you don't have to worry about any future vote because you won't be here. More importantly, something MAGA Mike has said, and I already brought it up, he wants to make America, right? He wants to return America to a white Christian nationalist country.
Right.
So you being Muslim, what do you think happens to you? One of two things. It's like the insurrection, right? Either you're going to convert to Christianity, or they're going to throw you out of the country. So let me ask you again, who's the better choice for you? Is it Trump or is it Biden? And think long and think hard. Actually, let me rephrase that. Think short and think hard.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly right. But by the way, this gets to the binary choice. I think Biden. Your argument is better if it's a binary choice. This is the choice you have to make as a Muslim. This is the choice you have to make as a woman. This is a choice you have to make, and otherwise, several of those people who would probably go, "Gosh, Michael, you're right. I can't believe it, but I'm mad at him. But I'm going to vote for him." Would take that third, the no labels or the Robert F. Kennedy route. And I think that makes it a 45-45 kind of race. And that's the only race that Trump can win. Trump can't win a binary race. He can't. He's never going to get anywhere near 50% of the American people to be for what he's about.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So look, Joe, the hour comes and goes real fast here on Mea Culpa, especially when we're involved in this raw, unfiltered, and lively discussion. So I have one last question for you, and this is a really difficult question, and I talk about it all the time on television, but I would like to get your opinion on it because I know that we all speculate about a second Trump presidency. God forbid. But again, in your opinion, what would it really mean for the country? I mean, there are plenty of people who will tell you that nothing's going to change. I don't think so. What do you think?
It's going to be this country. The ideals it was built on will be dead. The democracy as we know it will be gone. It may be a phony one, and where everything really will be rigged, but no, it would be devastating. Which is again why I think I think that has to be the binary choice for people. We have to make it clear to them, this is what this fight is really about. And you really have to decide which side you're on. And yes, there are a lot of people on the Trump side who believe they're patriots. They're not. But the true patriots, I think, will decide, whatever their problems are with Biden, that this election comes down to continuing the American experiment and moving forward together, or white Christian nationalism. And I'm not sure Donald Trump gives a crap about that. But if it keeps me in power and whatever, he's going to do it. There's plenty of people with lots of money and interest that want to make that happen. Least of which MAGA Mike Johnson. So no, I think we're just seeing the beginning of. You look at Alabama. Look at judges, Supreme Court judges in Alabama who banned IVF. They'll ban contraception. There'll be 4 more years of those kinds of judges being appointed, and in states and federal bench that we've already look at the kind of rulings we're already overturn Roe v. Wade, the Voting Rights Act, it'll be over.
There won't even be judges. That's what I was talking to a member of Congress the other day, and I said to him, you really don't understand Trump, especially the way that I do. He's already said that he wants to rewrite the Constitution on day number 1. You imagine this fucking idiot looking for Barron's crayons to rewrite the Constitution?
Yeah.
No, seriously, right? He's going to rewrite the Constitution, and he's going to strip the tripartite system of the co-equal powers. Yeah. Branches, under the Constitution. All power gets conferred to him. Why do you need a judge? If all power is conferred upon to him, why do you need judges? What do you need members of Congress for? And then the other part I want to bring up is, and you just brought this up, and it just dawned on me. You talk about these incredibly wealthy people, these incredibly fortunate people to have amassed billions that their families couldn't spend in 500 lifetimes, that they seem to be supporters of Donald. What they don't realize is Donald is a copycat. He watched as Mohammed bin Salman took his family members, put them in the Ritz-Carlton there in Riyadh, and stripped them of the bulk of their money, all because he could. And Donald will do the same. Zuckerberg, who he's now calling Zucker Schmuck, right? I don't know if you saw that in his post. He's calling Zuckerberg Zucker Schmuck. He turned to Elon Musk, who didn't give him the money in order for him to post the bond. You got other guys like, I have no idea. Bezos, all of these guys on day number 1. Knock, knock. Who is it? SEAL Team 6, motherfucker. Open the door. He's going to grab them, bag them, tag them, bring them to Mar-a-Lago, put them on the floor in his tacky ballroom, and make them sign over their money, all of it, or be put into a gulag in the North Pole here in the United States. And people say, stop it, Michael. You're hyperbolic. It's bullshit. Can't happen. And I say, fuck you. It happened to me. What he did to me in the unconstitutional remand was a test run. It's a test run. He knows exactly what he's going to do and to whom he plans on doing it to. And that's going to include any one of these rich motherfuckers who turn around, think that by kissing his ass and stroking it, he's not going to strip them of their money so he becomes the first mega trillionaire in the world.
No, you get no argument from me. As I said, he wins. It's all over. And we can't even imagine. And that's the problem. There's all this normalcy bias that, can that happen here? It will never happen here. He couldn't do that. Get a life, man, because you're going to need one. He's going to do it. That's who he is.
Joe Trippi, my brother, thank you so much. Stay in touch because I need to get some of the info that you're working on. Appreciate you very, very much, and definitively need to have you back as this, November day starts coming closer and closer.
Can I plug my podcast?
Absolutely.
Michael?
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this conversation, and Michael and I have had more than a few, I do have a podcast, That Trippi Show. You find it wherever you find Michael's, and
highly recommended.
I need to have you on mine. I'll do that.
I'm coming to name the date. That Trippi Show. Check it out.
Thanks,
Joe,
man.
I'll see you soon.
Take care.